Yesterday's Queen stage of the Colorado Classic in Breckenridge punished the riders with 10 laps up and over the Moonstone Road climb. Team Holoesco's TJ Eisenhart went on an early attack and spent his day in the breakaway. He was enjoying the ride of his life before Colorado native Alex House finally caught him on the final lap and timed his sprint to perfection to take an emphatic win. They are fighting all the way to the finish line, but no, it's going to be Alex House. He gets it very, very easily. For his efforts, the 23-year-old Eisenhart now sits in blue as the new race leader, but just 1 second separates him from Alex House, who is not giving up.
It's on.
Stage 3 from Denver is next. It's day 3 of the inaugural Colorado Classic here, presented by Drink Rhino in the heart of Denver. That is downtown Denver. Today's stage, 79.5 miles of racing. My name's Paul Schoen. Alongside me is Christian Vande Velde. And today's route, as the riders are already out on the course, took us away from Denver this morning.
They've already been racing flat out right from the start, going through the first sprint points, out on the flat roads, trying to separate themselves from the peloton, going for that elusive breakaway, going up north on 93, a little bit of crosswind. We saw weaving a little bit of crashes there. Then they finally take a left on Cold Creek Canyon, start climbing up this big climb. Take another left on Twin Spruce, up through Gap Road, the climb. This is where the riders are, right there through the feed zone. Then they'll hit the second KOM. Riders will be going up and down, maybe even hitting a little bit of dirt roads, going through Golden Gate Canyon. Then they'll finally go back down the hill, pick up a little bit of a tailwind, hit that big sprint points. Hopefully Alex House can get that 1 second to tie himself and actually take the lead off of TJ Eisenhart.
Yes, well, before we go back to the real action, let's just remind ourselves of what happened earlier on this morning. 91 riders, the survivors of this year's Colorado Classic, moved away. They faced up to around about a 2-mile neutralized section to get themselves away from town and out onto the open road. And as soon as they did, the sprint point on the horizon was extremely important. After 6 miles, it was all about trying to get time bonuses. 3 seconds, 2 seconds, and 1 second available.
That's right, and then there was impressive defense right there on the left-hand side by the Holoesco Citadel team with Travis McCabe, Narvaez, and John Murphy from Holoesco Citadel taking that 1 point from Alex House.
Yes, but out on the road, the slight crosswinds caused a dramatic crash to a rider from Vinny Fratini. That's Yuma Koshi who went down there, and it really was all about a little touch of wheels.
Yeah, Yuma Koshi's checking his 6 right there, ultimate no-no. Then Gregory Daniel coming across his wheel, taking him out. Going down hard on a big, wide, open road. Never look behind you, especially in the crosswinds.
But as they started to get themselves into the mountains, onto Gap Road, and they had the first King of the Mountains point, a second category climb over the summit of Gap Road, it was Marco Canola in the orange jersey of Italy getting himself a maximum of 8 points. Chetkov in the second place for 7 points, and Peter Stettiner in third place. As we now join the action, a little bit of rain starting to come down. We're looking at a 5-man leading group, and an interesting leading group as well, because in this group, Sergei Chetkov is one of the best placed riders overall. Peter Stettiner second at the start of the day. John O'Clark in there for United Healthcare, and in there as well Valerio Conti. The weather conditions currently 85 degrees Fahrenheit, 9 miles an hour winds, wind coming in from a west-southwest, but we are hearing that a little bit later on in the day we could be suffering from some electrical storms. That's Peter Stettiner there in the orange jersey of First Bank, the most aggressive rider of yesterday, and he sits well up in the overall standings after finishing in third place overall yesterday. Now he's the man who really needs to turn the books around in a move like this. There's a group of around about 22 riders chasing behind, but this is somebody just moving away. It looks like a rider from BMC Racing.
Looks like the physique of Manuel Senni going up the road, attacking right there, look like right out of the feed zone. But back to Pete Stettiner. Yeah, Pete Stettiner is only 11 seconds behind the overall general classification. So right now, he's a leader on the road.
Yes, he is, and you can see the green jerseys on the front. So that, in fact, is Rigoberto Urán in first position, second overall in the Tour de France just 2 weeks ago. He's trailed by his teammate Hugh Carthy there, the rider from Preston in the north of England. In fourth position in the Drink Rhino sprint competition, there you can see was the man who wants to try and win this race, Alex House. But this is a phenomenal move by the young Italian here on Team BMC Racing, because Christian, in my marking here, he's ridden across a gap of around about 20 seconds.
Impressive bridge by Manuel Senni coming across his gap. You know that Pete Stenton is pushing a big gear right now, making sure that gap is as big as possible, making sure that the Cannondale team is completely on the ropes going up these hills.
Yes, well, Manuel Senni starts the day in 6th place overall, just looking for 32 seconds. So, interestingly enough, in this group right now, Christian, we've got 3rd place overall at the start of the day, 5th place and 6th place. So this is a serious move to try and overturn the overall standings. You can see the dark skies in the background, and just sitting on the front end of his saddle there, I would think that was a massive effort to get across this gap, which we believe is between 30 to 40 seconds to the group behind.
Look at Senni, he's in the big gear. I mean, he's in the big chainring. Actually, a lot of those guys are still in the big chainring, so it just tells you how fast these guys are going. Look at those dark skies. But we're sure the rain is coming down. Obviously, it's really wet right now, still on the roads. I'm not sure where they are exactly. Look at it. It's Rigoberto on the front there, full gas right now. Cannondale's been doing a ton of work out there today, doing a fantastic job with Rigoberto Urán, the man who got 2nd place in the Tour de France just a few weeks ago.
Well, he's not riding for himself. In fact, he's riding for the rider in 4th position there in that sort of grey jersey of Drink Rhino. That is Alex House. Right behind Alex House in the pale blue Gates leader's jersey is TJ Eisenhart, who did a fantastic ride. There's Taylor Sheldon just getting tailed off the back a little bit. Now, I would put that, Christian, at it can't be very much more than about 10 or 12 seconds.
At the most it is. I mean, you really have to think that Alex House, these are his home roads. He's from Golden, Colorado, right at the foot of this mountain that they're climbing right now, so he knows every inch of all these roads that they're racing on today.
Well, nobody wants to work in this group. I just saw the little flick of the elbow there coming from Peter Stettner. He realizes this is a chance. They've got to Team Cannondale Drapac on the back foot. It's Rigoberto Urán in person there, number 21, and he's done the job. He's pulled them all back together. So it's all of the main contenders have managed to scramble together coming back up this mountain.
They even split the group behind. That's how fast Rigoberto Urán was coming back up to this group. And look at, he's not stopping there. He's going right to the front. He's even attacking, it looks like. Rigo still has some form. That's the best thing you could do. The best defense is offense. Go right back on the front. Keep the foot on the gas.
Well, here we are. We're all scattered all over the place. A little bit of dampness on the road. We've still got another King of the Mountains point to go through, and it's going to be extremely important, Christian, once we drop away from these mountains and start to go down to Wheat Ridge on the second approach to look at the final sprint point out on the course. The rider at the back there, number 116. Now, he's a real good star for the future, because he's a rider who I would expect can do very well. He's just signed a new contract with Quick Step Floors, and that, in fact, is Jonathan Narvaez. Now, there's another move coming off the front from United Arab Emirates.
That's a great attack. Whenever everyone's on the limit, that's the best time to attack right away, right back off the front.
Big, powerful rider. This, I would put this at being Vergaard Lengen. Ooh. He's a big, powerful rider. We've seen him ride well in time trials in the past, and this really has put everybody on the back foot.
Looks like Senni's attacking right in the back, the BMC rider from the field as well.
Road's just a little bit drier. Yes, it looks like the slim figure of Manuel Senna there, but immediately any kind of flurry of attack comes, Christian, there's lime green jerseys of Cannondale Drapac all over this. It's their race to lose here this afternoon. They've got to do everything they can to try and look after one man, and that's Alex House. He sits just behind the overall leader, TJ Eisenhart, 1 second separating those two riders. It could all go down to the sprint point once we ride away from this mountain range.
And if Alex can get that 1 second back, that tie will go to him, since he's placed so highly in all the finishes thus far.
Tell you what, this climb, Christian, has done some serious damage, and it's really because they've hit it very hard right from the start. Now look at the power. This guy has got some serious firepower going here. Looks over his shoulder. He's almost taunting everybody to come back up to him, because he wants to split this group.
Now he's got to get up off the front. But of course, he needs somebody else to come with him. He still has a long way to go back to the finish line down here in Rhino, in downtown Denver.
Another interesting rider who's actually in that group behind for Trek Segafredo is Kiel Reinen. So as we look at this one lone leader here, we've still got one more mountain pass to go, and then a very long, fast descent into the outskirts of Denver. These are all the various jersey holders at the start of the day. TJ Eisenhart holds 3 jerseys: the Gates Overall Leaders jersey, the Colorado Tourism King of the Mountains jersey, and the Drink Rhino Sprint jersey competition. The best young rider presented by Helix, that's Jonathan Navarez. Peter Stettner, the First Bank Orange most aggressive rider, and the best Colorado rider, Acura, that is on the shoulders of Alex House. So just looking at the back of the group here, this here is number 12 riding for Trek Segafredo, and that is Julien Bernard. Now there's a couple of riders in this group from Trek Segafredo. One of those is Kiel Reiner. Now if it all comes back together down towards the end, he's got to be feeling he's got a very good chance of getting himself the victory. But the rider just off the front here, this looks like Vergaard Jens Lestingen, the big strong rider from UAE. Now he's gone slightly clear off the front end of this group, but there's a group of around about 22 riders, Christian, on this descent.
Yeah, it looks like he was waiting up a little bit, waiting for that pack, because if you have nobody with you to help share that workload, that's a long way to go all by yourself. I think that's a smart move by the UAE rider.
Well, there's a lot of riders with pale green jerseys of Cannondale Drapac. There are in fact 4 riders from Cannondale Drapac in this group. Rigoberto Urán, Hugh Carthy's in this group, and of course the man who wants to try and win this race overall, Alex House. I'm a little concerned about the color of the skies though, just over to the left-hand side. Christian, I mean, you know these roads. There's another rider just managing to come back here from UAE, and now this is an indication that he has recovered over the top of the climb, and this is Edouard Ravasi, an Italian rider, taking a few risks to get round the outside of the race referee's car. This is Lengen coming back into the group as well.
They're flying. These guys got to take a little bit of risk coming back through the caravan. You see these guys on the front, the Colorado team, followed right by Alex House and a BMC rider, most likely Brent Bookwalter.
Well, they're in the pale blue jersey over on the right-hand side. You can see TJ Eisenhart, and Christian, what a day he had yesterday. And I questioned the sense of a move like this. The Holoesco Citadel rider enjoying the crowd on that amazing summit up to Mountain Road, buoyed by the presence of George Hincapie in the car.
And not only him, but Mark Holoesco, the biggest sponsor, longtime sponsor of the team. Overtaken by the line by Alex House. But really, the day was all to that man right there, TJ Eisenhart, mugging for the cameras and the crowd, soaking it all in, taking that leader's jersey.
Well, there he is, sitting in third wheel, and I have to say the negative thing about him today is he's isolated in this group. He has no teammates up alongside him, but before the start this morning, Bob Roll caught up with him.
So how was the euphoria around the dinner table last night after your incredible stage and leader's jersey?
Euphoria was crazy there. Right when I walked into the dining hall, huge, enormous applause went off from my team, just going nuts. And everyone just like looking around, trying to figure out what was going on. And then they realized I walk in the room, and yeah, so it was pretty radical. And the guys are definitely buzzing and stoked. And yeah, we went upstairs, had some champagne, and celebrated the night. And yeah, we're ready today. Got some nice rest and had some sweet, really good, pancakes and blueberries, so I'm feeling pretty good right now.
And how was the reception with your friends, family, neighbors?
Yeah, that was nuts. I mean, as soon as I didn't have service the whole day up there in Breckenridge, and then as soon as I got down to Denver, the phone just blew up. I mean, it was unreal, like the how many people sending me messages and everything like that. But I always, first and foremost, always make sure to respond back to the, fam first, or the people who've always kind of been there. But it's always overwhelming when you get, tons of messages, even ex-girlfriends sending messages back, man. So doing something right this week.
Slim lead in a pretty complicated stage. How do you see today playing out?
I see Cannondale going for that first sprint, giving everything to get that. I don't think they will, though. I mean, you got Travis, you got other teams interested in that sprint jersey as well, and then I got 2 of the best sprinters on my team, so pretty good blocking. Other than that, I don't think he's, he might try to get up there in the sprint or in that final, sprint bonus, but it's gonna be hard for him to kind of outwit those guys wanting that stage win and really those pure sprinters. But if he does, kudos to him. But right now I'm feeling pretty good, feeling pretty confident in the team, and hopefully I see Murph or Miguel on the top step for the stage win. That would be too good. So.
Well, best of luck, and congratulations on your day one in the leader's jersey.
Yeah, thanks, man. Talk to you later.
Oh, I'll tell you one thing, Christian, he got the first part of the tactics right, because all of those guys going for the first bonus sprints out on the course, they came up nada.
He predicted that perfectly. However, the other side, I haven't seen Murph or Miguel in a long time, so those guys have the work cut out for them if they're going to make it back for the sprint.
Well, that's Verhard Lengen at the back. And there you can see at the front there, that's Hugh Carthy of Drapac Cycling. Now, this is the overall standings in the team classification presented by United Healthcare, and it is Cannondale Drapac who've got themselves the overall lead with 1 minute and 35 seconds ahead of BMC Racing, and in third spot there, it's UAE Fly Emirates. So we're looking at these riders, and as we now look at a situation where most of the overall contenders are looking happy in the group. One man was very, very happy on the start line this morning, and how well they did to get those nice face cutouts done overnight. Located east of the Rocky Mountains, Denver, Colorado has a mild and dry climate with 300 days of sunshine a year. In the winter, Denver is drier than Phoenix with an average daily high of 45 degrees in February, allowing cyclists to hit the road all year long. Well, just looking back down there at the state capitol, we're about a kilometer or so to go to the top of the climb, the fourth category climb of the day, Golden Gate Canyon. And we're looking here at a group of around about 25 riders strong. That's Hugh Carthy on the front doing most of the pacemaking there for Cannondale Drapac. I'd have to say, Christian, after the flurry of activity we had in the early part of the stage, it now seems as if it's all going across to the advantage of Cannondale Drapac. They've got 3 riders in here, as well as Alex House. Mind you, when you look at the pale green, the pale blue jersey there, the leader's jersey on the shoulders of TJ Eisenhower, there's a little move on the left-hand side now coming as we get up towards the summit of this climb, and that once again is Manuel Senna.
Yeah, Senna's looking really good here. This is the second time he's put in a big attack. Let's not forget, this is right around 9,500 feet. So again, high altitude, just like we saw yesterday in Breckenridge. But I have to agree with you. It looks like Cannondale is setting a very nice tempo. You got Hugh Carthy on the front, followed by Rigoberto Urán. Rigoberto Urán did a big turn earlier, right before the other KOM, to bring that very dangerous breakaway back, who had Senna up there as well.
Well, he's got a fourth category climb just a little bit further up the road, and we're only about 200 or 300 meters away, maybe 400 or 500. I haven't seen any of the banners out on the course here. He's actually riding a pretty big gear there, Christian. This climb,
huge,
not as hard as the previous climb, but it's afterwards that we've still got a couple of good launch pads where attacks could take place.
Yeah, there's one big one, about 1 kilometer at 10% on the actual downhill of this Golden Gate descent. But yeah, it's a big gear that he's churning right there.
Well, there's somebody just moving away, another rider moving away from that pack, which is still very, very much controlled by Cannondale Drapac. There you can see the lone leader in the front, and it looks to me as if it's a rider from Jelly Belly, and there's no response at all coming from that group of around about 20 riders.
I don't know who can actually respond right now. It's really who has the legs. I think a lot of people are actually scared to attack this point in time. You think of it, this is pretty much all downhill. I think a lot of times people think it's a little bit silly. A lot of times you have the impetus of the downhill, you have to stay within the pack. We're bringing all it back. There's 1K to go now, right now.
Well, it's a lot further than I thought, Christian. A kilometer to go. That's going to take them a couple of minutes to get themselves up to the top. In fact, Race Radio is crackling over to me just now to say that is Sergei Chekhov. Now, he is well placed in the overall standings. Now, the funny thing is, if he makes the junction with that rider in front of him, Christian, we've got the 5th and 6th place riders overall actually making a move.
This is deja vu from yesterday. These are the 2 guys who were in that breakaway yesterday, and then these are the 2 guys who broke away from that breakaway to bridge up to the leaders later in the race. Obviously, these guys got dropped a little bit towards the finish line, but Senna and Chekhov, they've been racing together a lot these last 48 hours.
Well, they have Chekhov there in second position. There's still no response at all. You can see, I think Cannondale Drapac right now, Christian, they've just said, well, let's keep it together. Let's just keep ourselves as a good group, go over the top of this climb. And then because of the power we've got in numbers, we can actually start to get organized on the descent and maybe try and set it up not only for the sprint points that are coming up at Wheat Ridge on the way down, but also maybe for a stage victory for Alex House.
Paul, you have to also remember that this, it's not really the tempo of Hugh Carthy or Rigoberto Urán. You have to think about Alex House. Alex House might be on the limit right now, so you can only go as fast as your leader could go up this climb. Alex Howes had to go really deep yesterday, so I'm sure he's feeling the effects a bit right now. There's Alex Howes right there, number 25. You see he doesn't have the team jersey. He doesn't have that lime green jersey of his teammates. A little bit different with Senni right now, and Chekhov still trying to get across to this gap. Look at Senni, he's in the big chain ring still going up this Category 4 climb.
Well, I have to say as well, Christian, you've got to bear in mind that they're making these efforts. It might not be a difficult climb if you were to start it at normal altitude, but here you're making this kind of an effort at 9,500 feet almost, and that really is very difficult to respond and recover from once you've made that first effort.
Yeah, both these guys raced last week in Tour of Utah. Impressive, the performance these guys are starting to put together really in the second week of racing at altitude.
Well, he's just about to make the junction there, and here he is. And that's the rider in second position, Sergei Chekhov. Now we're at 200 meters to go to the summit here of Golden Gate Canyon, and these are the 5th and 6th place overall riders at the start of today's stage. And look at the grimace on the face of Sergei Chekhov there as he's just got onto the wheel of Senna. I tell you what, both of those riders, Christian, they're certainly not smiling, are they?
No, he's definitely pinned. That's definitely Sergic. Both those guys are on the limit right now, but they know they're going to crest it. You know, really, the biggest reason I think that Sergic is going for this move right now is really for these KOM points.
Yeah.
He'll solidify that jersey. He's going to take it. I don't even know if he needed to do this, really, but I'm making sure that he's going to solidify this and take it home tomorrow in Denver.
Big power from the rider who started his career off as a Moldovan. In fact, he represented Romania at the Olympic Games last year in Rio de Janeiro. Now he returns back to be a Colorado resident, gets himself maximum points. Oh, as we go with for the 3rd place over the top of this climb, just look how dark and grey that sky is in the background.
Looks like they're going from day to night right there, Paul.
Oh, wow, it really is. And down in the valley there, that darkness, that is all hanging over downtown Denver. The roads out here, they're perfectly dry. Excellent for racing.
That's fantastic. Right now, we're getting a big storm coming through Denver right now as these guys are racing in dry conditions, actually. Just like we've had throughout this week, some places on the course are completely dry. Other places are storming, electrical storms. We've had a mix of everything.
Well, this is Valerio Conti just sitting on the back. He was in the breakaway group a little earlier on. A couple of riders in here from United Healthcare. One of those riders is Travis McCabe. Now, if it all comes back together down towards the end, there's a name to conjure up for the possibility of a stage victory tonight.
Yeah, you think about him and Kiel Reinen from Trek Segafredo. Those are the two guys that I'd be looking for that sprint.
Well, Sergei Chekhov in 6th place overall at the start of the day has powered over the top of that climb. We're now looking at about 32 miles to go to the finish. Earlier this morning, the Arrow Electronics semi-autonomous motor car, or the SAM car, was on display at the start line. The Colorado-based global technology company Arrow Electronics created the SAM car for the former race car driver Sam Schmidt, who was left paralyzed from the chest down after a racing accident in the year 2000. The Arrow Electronics SAM car will also serve as the official pace car for the Colorado Classic Para-Athlete Race. I have to tell you, Christian, it is an amazing vehicle as well. It works and it's maneuvered by head movement and voice control. And I think we could do with some of that out on the road now. There we can just about see, as we pull back a little bit, there are the two leaders. Now this is Sergei Chekhov on the left-hand side in the white jersey, Jelly Belly, and in the red and black jersey wearing number 6, that's Manuel Senna. They've got an interesting advantage now as they start to collaborate well together. They've just gone over the top of the King of the Mountains point where Sergei Chekhov, I have to say, was looking rather strong, and he powered over the top there in 1st place ahead of Senna.
Yeah, fantastic. It's in both these guys' interest to power to the line. Obviously, Senna doesn't need the win. Sergei needs the win, but Senna will take the jersey if he does stay off the front with more than about 30 seconds off the front from Alex Howes. Yes, and well, TJ Eisenhardt, for that matter.
And I was just thinking, Christian, because this is one of those horrible little descents that I always hated as a professional bike rider myself, when you start to go downhill and then they throw a little kicker at you, and partway down this descent there's a climb of around about 1 kilometer with a gradient of 10%. Now that would be a great place to use as a launch pad for somebody in that group behind to try and get across to these two leaders. But these two riders started in 5th and 6th place overall at the start of the day.
Now that is true. When you hit those kind of kickers like that, after that culmination of lactic stays in your legs, it hurts so bad when you hit the bottom, especially if you're just gliding in the back of the pack. These two riders are working together, probably won't hurt them as bad. It's a strange thing to think that while you're gliding and resting, that it's actually going to hurt you when you hit the hard climb. But this is climbing. You've been saying this since the beginning of the morning. So this is a hard one. This is a perfect place to attack. So somebody who's missed the boat behind in the peloton, what we're calling the peloton, about that 20 riders in the back, be a perfect place to attack.
Yeah, I don't think I'll call it the peloton anymore,
No.
Christian. I think I will call it the survivors, because this has been a really hard stage right from the very get-go. And when we looked just up a few moments ago at those clouds, the dark clouds hovering over Denver downtown, and even that can't take away from the beauty of this incredible state of Colorado.
I do see some shadows out here. I feel like it's Groundhog Day every day. We're talking about, see if there's actually a little bit brighter or lighter, but actually when you see the shadows, you just know that the sun is out right there, even though those roads are very wet.
Well, this rider we're looking at here, he started the day well up there in 5th place overall, and he's the one really who instigated the move, and it was Sergei Chetkov who came across. He's 32 seconds down at the start of this morning. Now, these two riders are going to start to put a serious amount of pressure, I think, on Cannondale Drapic, because for me, it's that big World Tour team, which is the team that really has to do something special. There you can see it's pretty much lime green at the front of that group, and they're doing plenty of pacemaking. Well, as we look down there at Cannondale Drapac doing all of that pacemaking, one of the riders on that squad is Taylor Phinney. He hails from Boulder, Colorado, and he's been getting us inside of the race, and he's been sharing his video diaries with us. Here's the next installment.
What's up, babies? Coming at you live from the glam life. Having my pre-race meal, rice and eggs. Put some pumpkin seeds in there, Bragg's, amino acids. Eating by myself again seems to be a trend. Alex House, the winner of the stage yesterday. We did a full team effort to try to make that happen, so it's always super rad when a plan comes together, and we're all very proud of Housey. Today we have a race that goes really close to my home in Boulder, Colorado. We go up Gap Road, which is a really steep climb, dirt section on the top, up and down, pretty nasty. We're looking to take some time away from TJ. There's a couple bonus sprints with time bonuses, so that's our plan today. Ciao.
Well, not very far away from home. In fact, he spends most of his time in Boulder, Colorado. These are the two leaders. Now, if they stay clear at the moment, Christian, as we look here at Manuel Seller and Sergei Chetkov, they're going to take away the first two positions if they can stay clear all the way down to Wheat Ridge, which is about 13.5 kilometers to go. But that still leaves a 1 second time bonus available for the group behind. And the rider that Taylor Phinney was talking about there, Alex House, he must be now starting to get very, very nervous, because it only leaves him a single second to garner if he can get the 3rd place.
I'm looking more to Travis McCabe, if he even wants to go for that bonus sprint there to get some more points for that jersey they look for. There's Pete Stetin on the front from the Trek Segafredo team, with Rigoberto Urán right behind him, trying to bring this back. This is that 1 kilometer kicker that we've been talking about for a while. They're going uphill right now, and then it'll continue to descend back into Denver after this.
Well, race information is actually starting to tell us we're looking at about 40 seconds the distance between these two riders and the group behind. So it's actually starting to look rather good for the two attackers as they head right the way down there into the heart of the storm. The 3rd day of racing here at the inaugural Colorado Classic, and it's presented by Drink Rhino, and it's the stage between Denver and Denver. 79.4 miles of racing. We're looking down at a 22-man chasing group, and they're chasing two leaders who managed to get clear just before the summit of the last climb of the day, the Golden Gate Canyon Road. These are the two leaders, and Christian, I'm getting information over race radio now that the gap has moved up to around about 1 minute and 5 seconds, and I'm just looking at the surface on the road here. It's a little bit damp, but this is not necessarily a really technical descent these riders have to face up to.
Not necessarily, it's not a technical descent at all, but I will say with the added addition of this water, it is a bit more technical, and you're going to have to take a little bit of risk, and I would say that would be the advantage to these two riders off the front. Well, I don't think the pack behind, whatever you want to call them, those 22 riders, they're not going to make up too much ground out of these guys.
No, well, this is the next group on the road there, just sitting at the back. That's Julien Bernard, the rider from Trek Segafredo. Now, what they're going to have to do in this 22-man group is try and see if they can catch these two leaders before they get to the sprint point. In this chase group here, look at all the names. Eisenhart, Hauser, Stettner in there, Benito, Rigoberto Uran, Lengen, Hugh Carthy and Petilli. A bit further down, a very good sprinter there, McCabe, Ravazzi, Santa Morita, Chris Butler from Hilton Head, South Carolina, Narvaez from Action Huygens Berman, Sheldon and Reinen, Canola and Lewis Lemmes in there as well for the Israel Cycling Academy. Now, the Israel Cycling Academy, now that's quite an interesting little title there, because there was an idea that came up a couple of years ago. Two Israeli cyclists were out for a ride in Israel, going to the top of this mountain. They stopped and said, well, hey, why don't we put together an Israeli professional cycling team? And the idea was that they wanted to help Israeli cyclists turn professional on the international circuit. So they did that, and they put together a professional cycling team. And hey, here they are now riding here in this race in Colorado. But more than that, what is interesting, they've also created the Cycling Academy, which is a bunch of young Israeli riders that they want to help get through into the professional ranks. And here they've got a rider in that group behind there, Luis Lemmes, who, former Mexican national champion, is a great climber.
No doubt, and maybe even they'll have the start of the Giro next year in Tel Aviv, 2018.
Yeah, well, that's supposed to be a rumor, that, Christian.
Oh, sorry about that.
But I think it's one of those well-talked-about rumors as we get back to these leaders. But you know what? In that group behind, Alex Hauser must be starting to wonder whether or not they're going to pull back those two leaders, because a little bit further up the road, there is the sprint point of Wheat Ridge for a 3, 2 and 1 second time bonus. Well, Alex Hauser was at the start line this morning, and Bob Roll took time to catch up with him to find out what he thought about the day.
Well, Alex, you find yourself just 1 second in arrears of the leader's jersey. You promised yesterday to be competitive, try to get that second back. Have you identified a place on the course where that's most likely to happen for you guys?
I don't want to give too much away, but there's 2 bonus sprints out there today. There's time bonuses on the finish line, and then I think there's 3 again tomorrow, and time bonuses on the finish line tomorrow. So next 2 days, I mean, even if we take it back today, it'll be tight racing all the way through Denver tomorrow.
You've had success here in Denver before in the U.S. Pro Challenge with the stage win. Does that boost the morale looking at today's and tomorrow's stages?
Yeah, it definitely does. I mean, if you've done it once, then you can do it again. But it's a matter of doing it.
All right, well, best of luck today.
Cheers, thanks, Bob.
I'll tell you what, Christian, listening into that interview, although he sounded very bullish last night after the finish, he sounded a little bit nervous coming through there about his ability to get the sprint points today.
I see what you're saying, but I think he was more alluding to if he's going to be able to pull off a stage win like he had in the past in that sprint back in the Denver. But I don't know. I'm still thinking that he has a very good chance. You know that he's a great sprinter. We've seen him sprint before. He obviously won a full-blown field sprint, beating his buddy Keel Ryan to the line in Denver a few years ago. So I think he still has a very good chance. But first and foremost, they got to bring these guys back.
Well, just sitting on the back there, Taylor Sheldon, he had a great ride yesterday. He really enjoyed himself. The family was all out because he lives at 50 yards away from Mountain Road in Breckenridge, where yesterday's stage took place. I'll tell you one thing, Christian, of those 2 leaders, they're going to be pretty difficult to catch right now, because we're looking still at 1 minute and 5 seconds. They're going to have to do some serious chasing in this group if they want to pull back these 2 leaders.
Yeah, they're almost coming to the bottom of this descent right now, and they're holding that gap steady at right around minute 10. So these guys have not brought any time back on these 2 leaders. And really, where are you going to take time back on these 2 guys? They're taking more risks, it looks like, than this chase group. This chase group is spread out. It is a bit harder coming through these corners with the rainy weather, so you have to watch out, make sure you don't slide out, take too much chances. But at the same time, if it's a minute, especially at these kind of speeds, only got about 20 miles to go right now, Paul. They're going easily 30, 40 miles an hour, sometimes faster when they go in the straightaways.
Well, they're absolutely flat out there in this group, and I've had a quick count. There are 22 riders in that group, and when you start to see the little gaps appearing between the wheels there, you indicate that they are going extremely fast. We've got 2 leaders now at the front of this race. Seni is one of them, Chekchov the other, and on the horizon, the sprint. Well, as we look down there at Denver, we're out on the road here with two leaders. The two leaders, Manuel Senna in the red and black jersey, Sergei Chekhov in the white jersey with the jelly beans all over it. And he is in 6th place in the overall standings. And Christian, these riders are still holding on to a 1 minute and 5 second advantage. And just looking at the way that Chekhov is riding along here, he certainly is not slowing down.
He's stomping. Look, he's got the skin suit on, the aerodynamic wheels. It looks like Senna's actually holding on for dear life at times to the wheel of Sergei Chekhov, the Jelly Belly rider.
As well, there's still a little bit of dampness on the road, and you can see what an incredibly colourful sky. Just looking down at this main chase group, 22 riders strong, and it's nearly always a lime green jersey on the front. That looks like the lanky style of Hugh Carthy. But also in that group as well, riding for United Healthcare, one of the great sprinters, Travis McCabe. He was second on the opening stage. He was a big favourite for us, and if it all could come back together towards the end, he would be a rider who would have a very good chance of winning the stage. And before the start this morning, Bob Roll caught up with him.
Travis, you were sprinting really well on stage number 1 and also climbing great on stage number 2. How do you see today's stage playing into your talents?
Yeah, I think today's going to suit me really well. It's going to be hard. It's going to be fast. That climb, from what I've been told, is pretty dang steep towards the end there. But after yesterday, I'm pretty confident in my climbing abilities, and I think it'll it'll kind of weed out the other sprinters like John Murphy, who nipped me at the line the first day. So I'm really looking forward to it. I think guys to watch today would be myself, Marco Canola from Nipo Vantini, riders like Logan Owen, and then also Alex. You know, they're hungry. They're going for the win today. They want that jersey. And with only 1 second really separating them between TJ, it's going to be a battle, I think, all day long.
I was going to ask you about the GC so tight. How do you see that affecting the way the stage plays out?
I think it's going to, again, you know, this new Velorama dynamic of the race is going to just change everything. It's a short race. It's a hard race. With the GC being so close, I think you're going to see guys really riding hard up the climb to, one, get rid of sprinters like John Murphy, and also try to get rid of guys like me so Alex has a better chance of getting time bonuses. BMC really has no reason not to go hard. Cannondale has no reason not to go hard. Most of the teams are really ready just to rip it today.
All right, well, best of luck on what sounds like a very complicated and hard stage.
Yeah, thanks, Bob.
Well, his tactics are so far pretty much spot on, Christian. I just spotted the 25 kilometre to go sign. That's 17 miles of racing. That's probably going to take around about 35 to 40 minutes for these riders. But certainly he's done an excellent job of getting over that climb. That was a concern for him, but he is sitting comfortably in that group now. He'll be hoping that the big World Tour teams put a lot of pressure on the front of this to pull those riders back together so that he's got a chance of getting that stage victory that's eluded him so far.
Yeah, it's definitely eluded him, but I don't think this is coming down to tactics. This is all coming down to pure legs, and Travis McCabe has had those in spades these last 2 days. Yesterday, fantastic ride by him. He got himself into the breakaway, and when he got absorbed by the field, the attackers from the peloton, he stayed with them. I can't say enough about the way that Travis McCabe has been riding this week.
Well, we've got two lone leaders, and they're not losing very much of their advantage at the moment. They're still holding on to 65 seconds advantage over the chasing group of 22. Denver has often been regarded as one of the best beer towns in the nation. Nearby Coors Brewery in Golden is the largest brewing facility in the world. On an average day in the Denver metro area, more than 200 different beers are brewed, and they can be enjoyed in more than 150 breweries, brew pubs, and tap rooms. But out on the course, I would think one or two of the riders would be looking to enjoy some of these local breweries, but that's not the situation currently because they've still got to get their bicycles into the finishing line here, and there's a lot of fun to be had in downtown, and certainly this Rhino Art District is incredible. We're back with the leaders now, and we're looking at around about 10.8 miles to go, 17 kilometers of racing, and Christian, that chase group at 22 riders strong is still looking at 1 minute and 10 seconds. This could be the turn up for the books. Before the start, I have to admit, we both talked about which scenarios could come up. We had 8 or 9 different scenarios. We didn't have this one.
0 for this one. There's no way I ever thought that these two riders are going to be right away from the very strong pack that we saw behind them. These are the guys chasing right behind them, 1 minute and 10 seconds behind. It's going to be very touch and go to see if they bring him back within that 30 seconds that was in the magic number that they need to bring it back to retain that lead with that blue jersey.
Well, we've got about 3 kilometers to go to the sprint point. These are the chasers. Eisenhart, the overall leader, House, Stettner, Kuss, Benito, Rigoberto Uran, Lengen, Carthy, and Pitilli. A bit further back, McCabe, Ravazzi, Santa Marita, Chris Butler, and John O'Clark. And rounding out a few more names, Julian Bernard, Narvaez, Sheldon, Canola, and Luis Lemus. And that's a 22-rider group. We're looking at 2.5 kilometers to go to the sprint point, and that is a little bit further up the road. These 2 riders should hold on to first and second place, which would give them a 3-second time bonus and a 2-second time bonus. But there is still the sprint for third place in that 22-man group behind Christian, and that could be quite critical.
Especially for Alex Howes, who needs to get that second place and then to be tied on time with TJ Eisenhart. But that tie would go to Alex Howes since he's been placed ahead of him most times in both those stages previously.
Well, it's Cannondale Drapac Cycling on the front doing all of that pace, making it a little difficult to see from the heights of the helicopter here. It's Hugh Carthy there. He really has come into his own during the course of this race, and he's really laying it down on the line for his teammates. I'm looking to see whether I can spot the white jersey, the grey and white jersey, in fact, of the Rhino Art District is on the shoulders of Alex Howes, who's in second place overall. He really wants to come out of this group, Christian, and get himself the third place, because that would put him equal on time, but on countback, that would theoretically put him into the overall lead. That is, if in fact they were able to catch these 2 riders back.
And it's got a glimpse of Rigoberto Uran coming back through the cars, getting back on there, the back of the field. I think he had a flat, I heard, over race radio, so now he's back in contention within that field. But they've definitely been missing him with this chase. Still at a 1 minute 10 second. There's Rigo, seeing the left-hand side with the all green, coming back up to the front to help out the chase.
Well, as we think about this group of 22 riders, remind ourselves of the Gates overall standings at the start of the day. Eisenhart 1 second faster than House, 11 seconds faster than Stettner, 32 to Senni and Chekhov, who are in that leading group of 2 riders, and those are not really a very big gap, because if we were to stop the race right now, well, I have to say those 2 riders in the lead would be the virtual first and second in the overall standings. And Christian, the sky in the background, it's a beautiful color really if you're trying to paint a Constable watercolor, but certainly not an ideal situation like this. We're looking at around about a kilometer to get to the sprint point in Wheat Ridge. And these guys, they're not holding anything.
They're absolutely fine. Let's keep in mind that this is a little bit downhill, and they're picking up a bit of a tail crosswind from the right backside of them. So they are absolutely flying the ball, but all these conditions are the advantage of these 2 guys up the front. A tailwind and a little bit downhill. These guys have been flying, averaging right around 30-35 miles an hour for the last 30K.
Well, currently the difference between these 2 riders in the overall standings at the start of the day is 19 seconds, and the 19 seconds is the advantage to the rider in second position there, Manuel Senna. And look at the grimace. You can actually see that he looks to be starting to suffer a fraction there, because it appears to me he's struggling with that big gear.
No, he's got a big gear. A lot of times when you start locking up a little bit, you don't have that supple that he has. You see that Sergei Chekhov, he's almost like 1 or 2 cogs smaller, really doing the lion's share of the work here coming up into the sprint.
Well, I keep looking at the ticker just up the top there, 13.8 kilometers. They can't be more than 500 or 600 meters to go to the sprint point. It is in Wheat Ridge, and these 2 riders, I don't think, well, there's a little acceleration coming from Alex Howes, and there you can see there's another rider trying to make the move here. In fact, that's TJ Eisenhart.
It is TJ. These guys are going to be duking it out for that last 1 second. This is more or less going to be the race right here.
Oh, well, I tell you what, I take my hat off to the overall leader at the start of the day, TJ Eisenhart, 23 years of age. This is Alex Howes in the fluorescent green crash helmet there. He wants to get across the line in first place, because if he gets third place on the stage, the first man to cross the line from this 22-man group, he'll grab that 1 second. And he's been chasing that, Christian, since this morning. He missed out on the first sprint point, but now he's has he gone a little bit too early?
I don't know. I think it was actually starting to attack, and we're actually starting to ride right now. This is Alex Howes doing a last-ditch effort. Okay, he has to think about maybe getting that second, but it really doesn't matter that second if we're still 1 minute and 5 seconds behind. Who cares about the 1 second when you're going to lose the entire top 3, maybe the podium?
Well, these 2 riders, 25 and 28 years of age. And tell you what, the rider on
look
the
at
front,
Sergej. He is just flying.
Romanian rider, started his career off as Moldovan. Now he's a Romanian, represented Romania in the Olympic Games, and he's got serious power, hasn't he?
I'm almost laughing because Senni could barely go by Sergej Chetkov. Chetkov, the Jelly Belly rider who was pulling on the front, looks like he's been going 1 to 5 miles an hour faster every time he's pulling. Not to mention that he's going so much longer on the front than Senni. Senni's really locking up what you're saying earlier before, pushing the biggest gear that he has. So he's in the 53.11. That shows the kind of speed these guys are going at.
Well, I've got a funny feeling, Christian, we've actually gone through the sprint point there, and I'm getting confirmation that Senni and Chetkov went through first and second, but Alex House went across the line in third place, so technically that puts him on the same time as TJ Eisenhart, but they've got a little bit of a problem, the riders in that 22-man chasing group. They've got these two leaders who are still holding on to a 65-second advantage. We may well be looking at a change in the overall leadership today. We're moving now into the final few moments of this third stage of the Colorado Classic, presented by Rhino District. And as you can see, these two leaders are not hanging around. We're about 5 miles to go to the finish, around about 8 kilometers. It should take these riders 7 or 8 minutes. And as you can see in the distance, that is downtown Denver. It is very dark, but the sun seems to be shining on the two leaders. You can see the chasing group of 22 riders, and Christian, they still haven't really made much of an incursion into the advantage of those two leaders. It's still hovering around about 55 seconds to a minute.
Now look at them. Now we've got riders attacking off the front. There's no collaboration whatsoever. You see, you have a couple of teams working together, but those guys have been working all by themselves at the front. And you have the guy who's working the front is Pete Stetina. He's not exactly the guy to be pulling a brake back on the flats. He's a great climber, but doesn't have the big turn of speed like someone like Taylor Phinney would to bring this gap back.
Well, it's really funny because you've turned all of the tactical handbook up on its end here, because the reason Peter Stetina must be riding there now is he's thinking about the possibility of pulling those two leaders back and giving the opportunity for Kiel Reinen to try and get himself a stage victory. But as we look at 4.7 miles to go to the finish, pulling back a minute over those final few moments of the race is going to be extremely difficult.
Yeah, look at these guys. They're starting to bunch up, and whenever you see a pack bunch up like that, you know that the speed has just come completely out of that group of riders. So when you see one long line, that's when you know they're obviously going fast. You see the riders getting back up to the front, pulling it back out yet again, but I think it's going to be a little bit too little too late. They need to take at least 35 seconds out of these guys, the two leaders, that is, these guys right now. But look at the turn of speed that Sergej Chetkov has on the front there. He's been flying these last 10, 15 kilometers.
Well, we're looking here at the virtual standings currently in the race situation. Manuel Senni is looking at the 19-second advantage over Chetkov. That is not pulling into the calculation. The 10-second, 6-second time bonuses are available. And it's not taking into account the time bonuses. It was taken by Alex House a little bit further back. So it will all get turned around and pulled into the mixing pot once we get down to the finish. And let's not forget, there's still 10 seconds and 6 seconds and 4 seconds for the first rider from the main field across the finishing line, because I'm starting to think, Christian, they ain't going to see these guys again today.
No, they're going to see them in the showers, and they're going to see them on the podium, and that's about it. So Senni is still on the front there. You can see Sergej almost freewheeling behind him. See, you can tell that the riders keep on going, descending all the way down into Denver, and they actually have a little bit of a tailwind as well. That's why they've pretty much been spun out in the biggest gear possible, most likely the 53.11 in most all these bikes.
Yes, well, as you can see, right in front of us is downtown Denver. That's the business district of Denver. We're going to swing across around towards the left and start to head down towards Walnut Street and then into Larimer Street before a number of consecutive left-hand bends before we get ourselves into the finishing straight once again. These two riders, they could very well, if these guys don't make serious incursions into the advantage of those two leaders, we could see a change, and the two riders in the leading group could end up being first and second in the overall standings tonight. Now, it's going to be a little bit complicated to throw in the calculations of the time bonuses, but if those two leaders, Christian, hang on to around about 30 seconds advantage, we'll have a new leader tonight.
I just really have to ask myself why not Alex House isn't on the front right now. I mean, you're thinking you're saving for that bonus sprint of getting third place in 4 seconds. Who cares about 4 seconds? You need to get on the front, everyone working together. If you're bringing back 10, 15 seconds, that's a lot better than the 4 seconds, even if you lose that sprint.
Oh, look at the face on this man here. Rode the Olympic Games last year, and as you can see, 28 years of age, he really is coming to the prime of his form, and he's still got a very supple pedaling style. These guys, they're grasping now, Christian. They're going to take lots of risks going around these corners. I have to say, you always have to watch out for those white lines when you come into downtown areas, anywhere in the world, whether it's in the United States or whether it's on the four corners of Europe.
Sergey giving a flick of the elbow to have Senni pull through. Again, he could barely get by him as he's pulling through. Now they're in downtown Denver. They've made their way very rapidly right downtown, averaging right around 60 kilometers an hour for the last 20K.
Well, I keep looking up at the clock, Christian. It keeps telling me the gap is a minute advantage for these two riders. They really have to throw out all of the sandbags now. They've got to do the best that they can to conserve at least 30 seconds. And then it would appear to me that the rider on the front there, Manuel Senna, is going to get himself the overall lead. And I'm sure that's why he's absolutely burying himself right now. But even so, when you look at Sergei Chetkov in the white jersey of Jelly Belly, there's a little signal. I think these two riders, Christian, they know they've done something this afternoon. They've done... Oh, look at the gap starting to appear there. Senna is doing everything that he can to hold on to the wheel here of the flying Romanian.
Well, every time Sergey gets to the front, he's up in the tempo by at least a kilometer, 2, 3, 4 kilometers per hour, 2.5 miles an hour. It's very impressive at these kind of speeds to be able to up it, especially this late in the game.
Oh, Christian, I mean, you've ridden a bike at this level, but just tell me, look at the body language of Senna there, whereas we go a little bit further back, you can see it is, I think it's scramble on board of Cannondale Drapac. They realize today they've been caught out. Tactically, they are against the rings. They're trying to pull this race all back together, but as you said, too little, too late. And that on the front there is Hugh Carthy in the second position, right behind Rigoberto Urán. Imagine what it must feel like to Alex House to have a guy like Rigoberto Urán doing the pacemaking for him. But I agree with you. Alex House should come to the front now, and Rigoberto Urán, he pulls off there, back with the two leaders. Look at the way Senna is bouncing on that gear.
No, Senna's dying, sitting right behind him. Look at Sergey continues to go up there and distance himself every time he pulls through. But at least Senna still is pulling through every time. But I have to say, like, after that last sprint that Alex House won, got that second, so he should have been pulling right after that. Get together with your teammates, get together whoever's going to pull from Trek Segafredo, whoever is left of there, and start working together.
Well, you know, the strength of the power of Cannondale Drapac behind really is quite amazing, but just looking at the speed of these guys, Christian, they are coming into town there. They're probably not far inside of 30 miles an hour.
Sergey's taking no prisoners going through these wet corners either. He's been pretty much leading through all the technical bits and pieces. There hasn't been too much. Okay, these are big boulevards coming into Denver, but I have to tell you, Paul, since Golden, I don't think you could have driven your car as fast as those guys did coming into downtown Denver.
Well, that looks like the orange jersey of the First Bank most aggressive rider, Peter Stettner, on the front now, trying to peg back the final few seconds, trying to protect his position in the overall standings. But still, it's these two riders. Senna, look at his mouth, wide open as he can. And I tell you, just a fraction inside of 6,000 feet, he's got his mouth that wide open to try and get as much oxygen as possible into his body to transmit right down to those legs of his. Oh, and the acceleration, I tell you what, Sergei Chetkov, he still looks very fluid. He's still got the power and the acceleration. Oh,
I hate to laugh again, but just look at how much pain he's going through, just staying on the wheel of Sergey Chetkov. You know, sometimes I admire the way that Sergey's riding with this guy, but sometimes I start thinking about, I know they probably have a deal going that they're working together and they're in it together, but it's a gentleman's agreement. But I think I'd start attacking Senna if I knew that I was that much stronger.
Well, you never know in a situation like this, Christian, because it's still hovering around the 1 minute margin. And these two riders, well, they've got to think about two things at a situation like this. Yes, they want to try and win the stage. One of them wants to cross the line in first place, but they've also got to conserve as much of their time advantage as possible because they're turning the books in the overall standings. And we are looking at a new leader in the Colorado Classic today. It's pretty much certain going to go to the rider in the red and black jersey of BMC. They're swinging it round this next corner. They've got another corner to go, and they will swing into the finishing straight. Sergei Chetkov there in second position. He's going to wait until he sees the banner right in front of him. Then that's the moment I expect him to open up his sprint. This is the finishing straight right now. Oh, look at that, Christian. I'm pretty sure there's a little chat going on between these two riders, but they escaped at around about 32 miles to go to the finish. That's over the last hour and a half of racing, and still waiting to pick up the acceleration. Sergei Chetkov licking his lips now because he knows he's got to get himself the victory. There's big daylight between these two riders, and I'm going to have to say I'm going to have to start my clock manually here this afternoon to try and figure out what is the time gap back to the third place rider on the road. Chetkov now getting out of the saddle, and he's in fact starting to put air between himself and the other rider with him, Senna. Senna cannot even stay in the slipstream as the rider from Jelly Belly and Romania gets himself the victory. Manuel Sella across the line in second place. Christian, I've got the clock going. If it goes over the 30 to 35 seconds, we will now have a new leader. But look at the face of the winner.
Impressive ride by those two, flying down the descent after attacking on that last KOM, taking those last KOM. Let's not forget that he's also going to get the jersey for the KOM sprint, but there's Alex Howes in second position, trying to take down as much time as possible. I think it's too little too late. It's been too little too late for the last 20 kilometers, Paul.
Yeah, well, that's Alex Howes in the lime green jersey in second position in a white jersey, charging around on the right-hand side there in the blue jersey. That's Travis McCabe. He's from United Healthcare. He's trying to get himself third place, and he's also trying to get himself points in the Drink Rhino sprint point competition there. He's out of the saddle once again, and they've been swept away there, as you can see that Travis McCabe coming up to get himself a third place on the left-hand side there. Looks like Kiel Reinen, and swept away in the sprint there. I think, Christian, just looking down at the clock there, that's 54 seconds. The difference between the first rider to cross the line and this main group. There is Alex Howes in the grey jersey there of Drink Rhino. Well, I mean, 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers ago, he was dreaming of taking the overall leadership. That's gone right out of this window.
It's pretty sad to see that go away from coming out, slip right through his fingers. I mean, you think about just what you were saying earlier, we never pictured this scenario happening this morning. We thought of all the different other scenarios happening. We never thought that this guy right there, Sergei Chetkov, was going to go off the front with Manuel Senni and have almost a minute advantage coming to the line. And let's not forget about those time bonuses, 10, 6, and 4. Travis McCabe taking that 4 seconds. That doesn't matter anything for him. But these two riders, that's just going to add that buffer, putting them back up into the podium position. Senni's going to take the jersey. This band will be in second. I think Alex Howes is going to be in third place. And T.J. Eisenhardt's off the podium as of right now.
And he clocks up there his first win of the season. Let's not forget, Christian, he will also take over the mantle of leading rider from Colorado, because he actually qualifies for that competition, having been a resident here in Colorado as well. But he can hardly believe it. Look at this.
Fantastic. He only had to do a few pedal strokes to distance Manuel Senni right off his wheel, having plenty of time to post up, point to his sponsors, Jelly Belly on his chest.
Well, there will be a gap there when we get the official results in a few moments' time. I would make it around about the 1 second. But even so, Manuel Senna in second position there. He will still get himself a 6-second time bonus. Very, very good power. He rode superbly here this afternoon. He went on the attack. It was Senna who made the first move once we started to move up Golden Gate Canyon Road. But that was a great move by the man from Jelly Belly to get himself that victory. So a great win by Jelly Belly, a team which has been involved with professional cycling in the United States for 18 years. Chetkov getting himself the win ahead of Senni by 1 second. Travis McCabe crossed the line in third place at 54 seconds. Marco Canola in fourth, and Kiel Reinen in fifth place, given the same time there at 54 seconds. Looking a bit further back, a time gap back to Brent Bookwalter in sixth place, Alex Howes in seventh, Valerio Conti in eighth place, and Jonathan Narvaez from Ecuador in 10th place at 57 seconds. And there is the winner after a very long breakaway of around about an hour and 10 minutes. And just a few moments ago, look at him, just gasping to try and get himself a little bit of breath, and just looking, and he's got a bandage there on his finger, and I just wonder, we'll find out what that's all about a little bit later on. But there's no doubt about what happened when it came down to the finishing line, because Sergei Chetkov got himself the victory on the stage. Senna gets himself the overall lead. We'll take a short break and come back with the podiums. As well as we look down at the beautiful Museum of Art there, here is the podium on the right-hand side, Travis McCabe, but the man who's going to climb up onto the top step of the podium is the rider from Romania and from Jelly Belly, Sergei Chetkov.
Alvarez Brooks, City Council President, and cycling legend Wayne Stetna, and Brandon Propp, the managing partner.
In second position over on the left-hand side, Manuel Senna and Trav McCabe.
Oh, there you go. Now you're a local. You got to earn that hat there. You did earn that today.
Well, that's certainly a class prize as he climbs up onto the top step of the podium there. And what a way to win the stage, Chris. I have to say, a breakaway of more than 32 miles. So let's have a quick look as those two riders join him on the top step of the podium and have a quick reminder of what the stage results look like at the end of the day. Chetkov getting that victory by a single second ahead of Manuel Senna. Trav McCabe leading home the rest at 54 seconds in front of Marco Canola of Italy in fourth, and Kiel Reinen of Trek Segafredo and the United States in fifth place at 54 seconds. Bob Rolls not too far away from us in the behind the podium, talking to the stage winner.
Well, Sergei, congratulations on a tremendous stage win. Take us a little bit through your thinking going so far from the finish line in the breakaway.
So the plan before the stage, it was like, okay, I'm top 3 in the QM points from yesterday stage, and we're like, okay, we need to try, you know, that's, you know, 5th place is just nothing, probably, you know, 40 seconds down, it's so far away. And the plan, it was like, okay, my teammates, great, you know, they did great job, like, we went, like, through first split with Jacob Rothi and, like, tried to keep on, but nobody let me go, so I saw the BMC guy, he just attacked like before 1K to QM, second one. I'm like, I need to go get some points for sure, make sure I will have that jersey today. And we just keep going, you know, and that finally arrived. And of course, I'm my size, I'm better a little bit sprinter, so I won the stage. Probably I get to Colorado, but the best jersey, get second GC and QM, right? And victory, yep. So that's amazing.
Yes, that is quite amazing. I mean, think about it tactically. You go out with the idea of doing one thing and something else pops up, and there he gets himself the stage victory. And the race, in fact, does have a new overall leader in the Gates blue jersey leader. And that, of course, is going to go to the Italian rider on BMC Racing. And this man is going to have to defend that tomorrow, Manuel Senni.
Senni loves to attack, okay. The intentions of Sergei Chetkov were a little bit different. He just wanted to get that mountain climber's jersey, and again, it kept on carrying on. But I think this man right here, he had the intentions of going all the way to the line.
And the gentleman on the left-hand side there, by the way, Michael Eisner, the organizer of the original Red Zinger, and then the Course Classic, which has eventually morphed into the USA Pro Challenge, and of course here, the inaugural Colorado Classic.
From BMC Racing, he will be in our leader's jersey tomorrow for, there it is, for Stage 4 of the Colorado Classic.
Yes, stage 4, and that's going to be a tough one. It's going to be a circuit race based on downtown, and Manuel Senni will go into that circuit race with a 15-second advantage over Sergei Chetkov. Alex House will be looking for 31 seconds. That's going to be a tough ask. TJ Eisenhart from first down into 4th place, looking for 33 seconds. A bit further down, Sepp Kuss has got himself into 6th place at 1 minute and 5. Brent Bookwalter up to 7th place at 2:16, and rounding out the top 10 there, 10th position for Travis McCabe. And Bob Roll has run around the back of the podium position, and he is with the overall leader, Manuel Senni.
Manuel, congratulations on a fantastic stage. When you made your initial attack, did you think you would stay away all the way to the finish line?
No, when I did the first attack was like my style of race attack, and you never know what can happen. I just know that I had good legs, and I tried, and this time was the good attack.
You have 15-second time advantage. Do you think that'll be enough on tomorrow's stage? And what will the team's tactic be for tomorrow, the last stage of the race?
Tomorrow we have a strong team for the flat stages. I saw it's a bit hilly, but we have strong guys in the team, and probably we will find help from other team.
Well, congratulations on today's stage, and good luck tomorrow.
Let's hear it
Thank
for
you.
our Gates race leader.
Yes, well, let's have a quick look at all the different jerseys on the podium, because there's been a massive big change here this afternoon with a lot of different riders taking overall leads. The Gates blue jersey on the shoulders there of Manuel Seni. That's a 15-second advantage. We talked about that a little bit earlier on. And he should get joined up by Sergei Chekhov, who will lead the Colorado Tourism King of the Mountains competition, and that's what he planned to get today, and it came along with the stage victory as a bonus. He's also the leader, let's not forget, of the Acura Best Colorado rider, because although he's from Romania, he actually lives in this state. And with his sprint today, Travis McCabe with third place moves up to the overall lead in the Drink Rhino Sprint Leaders jersey. And the rider who conserved his lead in the Helix Best Young Rider competition from Ecuador and Action Bagans Herman is up there as well, Jonathan Narvaez. And the most aggressive rider of the day, the first banker orange jersey, that goes onto the shoulders of the Italian rider Marco Canola. So there they all are. Tomorrow, though, the inaugural Colorado Classic continues on NBCSN. Stage 4 will see the riders complete 10 laps downtown in Denver and right through City Park. Coverage begins at 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Our clothing and wardrobe is provided by Lululemon. On behalf of Christian Vandervelde, Bob Roll, and our entire crew here in Colorado, my name's Paul Sherring saying good night to you all from Denver.